So the man I'm with here today needs no introduction, but just in case you may not know who this is Dan Boss Green, elite powerlifter and world record holder. Dan is in town today hosting a sold-out coaching and lifting seminar here at the Bar Strength and Conditioning in Vancouver, Canada. And Dan was kind enough to give us a little bit of his time for an interview tonight. So Dan, thanks again for your time, brother.
Sure.
We'll just go right into the questions. So you're looked at all around the world as such an inspiration. You hear of so many people. But my question to you is, who do you look at? Who are your influences in the sport and some people that you could say that you look up to?
Yeah, I would say in the sport, I think the first person I really looked at was like Ed Cohn, and I think I like watching Stan efforting a lot. I think what impressed me the most is just how big he was, and just watching the 600-pound benches every meet.
Big, super lean and super jacked.
Yeah, he was always a cool guy, so it's good to see the guys who are kind of bigger than everyone else, but really down to earth.
Yeah, totally, man. Absolutely.
And then I would say, still, I like watching Zahir. He's one of my favorite lifters. So.
Yeah, he's outrageous. He's awesome. And so, what's some awesome advice you can give to aspiring lifters, kind of at all levels, kind of come up, wanting to improve their iron game, basically? What's some important tips that you could give to them?
Yeah, I mean, there's a million tips. Like
totally. Yeah.
I think the most helpful thing for me, once I had the work ethic, which if you're not training hard, that would probably be the first thing to kind of train a little harder. Mm-hmm. The second thing would be to have a plan, so you're not just going to the gym and maxing out. But once you have a good plan, a decent plan, and you train hard, I would say the best piece of advice for me that really made the most difference for me to kind of switch from training kind of like a bodybuilder to really becoming a lot stronger was something I read when I was reading all the Louis Simmons articles. But basically, it shouldn't matter too much how you feel sometimes. Sometimes you're going to feel like crap, and maybe you haven't recovered fully from the previous workout. And if you always wait until you feel good to train again, it's not really what it's about.
100%.
Biggest thing for me was to have a plan, to train hard, and then keep pushing myself harder, not to always sort of like back away to make sure I've gotten this this amount of rest that's gonna suddenly make me feel really good. Like if you're a weightlifter, if you're a powerlifter, or whatever you want to call yourself, if you lift weights, you have to go and do it as often as possible. So it's not about just resting too much. I think that's just like a really big thing for me. It doesn't matter how you feel, you just lift as well as you can at that point in time.
Yeah, just take it as they come to you. Absolutely. And I think I know the answer to this question. It may be similar to myself, but what's your favorite lift and why?
Yeah, honestly, I think like anyone else, I would say my favorite lift comes down to like the lift that's progressing the most currently.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I like them all, and I think I strive to have a good total, not just one good lift. So I think for every lift, there's been some really big challenges that have been sometimes the squat, sometimes the bench deadlift, but at different points in my lifting and training, there were lifts that gave me a lot of trouble, and I would sort of figure things out and make breakthroughs. And it's every lift has their challenges. I think some people are really good at one lift, some people are kind of good at all the lifts. But in the end, I mean, everyone should kind of strive to be better at all the lifts if that's probably something powerlifter.
100% being well-rounded for that total, not just being a one-trick pony. Like myself, I'm only good at deadlifting. But anyway, so to you, what would you say is like the best piece of advice you've been given, not even pertaining just to training, just business, life, whatever? What's something that really resonates with you and kind of that's in the back of your mind all the time?
I think just having a good sense of discipline is important. Whether it's working or having a family or lifting weights. Doesn't really matter. I think just having some discipline to basically make your decisions. It kind of goes back to the first point, like deciding what's the best thing to do and then doing it versus just doing everything based on emotion or impulse.
Absolutely. It's all about work ethic and discipline. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, sometimes if you want to have a plan of how you're going to hit a total you want, or if it's how are you going to open a gym, run a gym. You have to have a vision, and you have to kind of like have a plan to make that happen, and then there has to be some action that's consistent, whether you're in like a good mood or not.
For sure. Awesome, man. So moving on, like, you're kind of table of responsibilities. You have so much going on in your life all the time. And my question to you is, how do you manage being, husband, father, elite athlete, and successful businessman? I mean, that's such an undertaking. How do you manage, like, your days and weeks? And
just say I do one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Sleep sometimes has to wait, and the biggest thing for me is I don't get stressed out too easily, and the reason for that is because I just control what I can control. So if I have stuff on my plate that just seems really stressful, but it's not really something I can actually have an effect on, just have to have a little, maybe have a little self-talk so you don't get stressed out about stuff that's really out of your control. And just focus on what you do have an effect on.
For sure, man. And moving on, so when you have that moment where you have some free time, however rare that is, what are some hobbies outside of lifting enormous amounts of weights that you kind of like to indulge in and like to do basically?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big things for me are pretty much I do like lifting weights, so that's a big one. Having time at the gym is fun, but I like to spend time with my family. So my wife and I like to go hiking. Anything with my son is we take him to gymnastics, and he's actually now started to go hiking with me.
Oh, nice.
And so that's gotten fun. He's only like not even 5 yet, so hiking is good for him. Yeah, we have other stuff. We go to church every weekend. We have 2 dogs, so the dogs are fun to play with, but they don't always get as much attention. So
of course, yeah, that makes sense. It's a handsome little boy you guys got too. Absolutely. Now, and finally, this is a question that I've been wanting to ask, and I'm sure your fans all over the place want to know as well, is what are your competitive plans for 2016? Now, I know you don't like talking about specific numbers and goals. That's not what I'm asking at all. But like, what are you looking to accomplish in this next year for you?
So right now I'm coming off of an injury where I'm like still rehabbing. I would say probably another month of like waiting to really push. I had a dislocated SC joint, which is collarbone basically. It's sort of uncommon, but it's pretty debilitating. So just started training again, and at this point I'm just kind of patient to see how my strength will return as I go and make sure there's not any setbacks. So for 2016, I really am just, like I said before, I'm not really trying to force it too much. I'm just going to kind of control what I can. I'm just going to train until confidence is back, and then I haven't even thought about what meet I'll do next. So
for sure, man, just take
a ways to go.
Yeah, totally. Well, man, that's it for now. There could be a million other questions I could ask you, but I really appreciate you, giving the 10-15 minutes of your time here to come join us. Really looking forward to your seminar, and best of luck to you in this 2016 and beyond. I'm sure you're going to blow us away like you always do, man. So really appreciate that, brother. Thank you. Thank you, guys. If you haven't subscribed to Dan Green's stuff already, go like all his stuff. He's just intense. There's no other words to say. So thank you very much.